The Baltimore Orioles absolutely blister the Toronto Blue Jays by pouring it on late, 13-3, and already take the season series from them. We'll talk about it a little bit more in this one. Let's have a mound visit.
Let's go O's!
What's going on, Birdland? Baltimore Bobs here, and welcome to the Baltimore Bobs YouTube channel where we discuss all things Baltimore Orioles. I'm your host, Bobs, and I will be your tour guide in this little adventure. First things first, how about them stinking O's, son? Poured it on late and took care of business in Toronto, 13-3. Let's get into some of the box score real quick. So, Adley Rutschman goes 2 for 4, had a huge leadoff double. We'll talk about that in a minute. Had a walk and a RBI. Mounty went 3 for 4 and continues to absolutely destroy the Toronto Blue Jays. They seriously need to consider not pitching to this guy anymore because he is terrorizing them. He loves to hit in Toronto. Anthony Santander also had a stinking amazing baseball game, 3 for 4, and who can forget that absolute moonshot grand slam? We'll talk about that later as well. Gunnar Henderson had a great game, 3 for 5, had 4 ribbies himself, and Ryan McKenna went 1 for 4 and had 2 RBIs himself. Now, how about Kyle Bradish? He goes 7 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks. And the baseball game was real tight for a little bit, but Kyle Bradish battled. And you know what? That kid's been pretty consistent. You know that you're going to get a fairly good outing from Kyle, so it was good to see him pitch so well. Cianel Perez comes in, gets 2/3, does allow 1 hit, but has 2 Ks, looks a little bit better. And how about the return of Joey Crable? You know, last year it was real fun to see him come out of the bullpen. I'm really glad that he's come up here, and he had a really good game. He went 1 1/3, had 2 Ks, no hits. So it was fun to see Joey Crable back up in the bigs. Now, little play-by-play. Starting off in the first inning, Adley Rutschman takes a 4-seam fastball off the jump and hits a double. Well, then Mounty doubles right behind him, scoring Rutschman. Santander singles the left, so now you got runners on the corners. Hayes pops out to second, that's 1 down, and then Henderson grounds into a fielder's choice, scoring Mounty. Santander was out at second. And then Westberg struck out swinging. So, hey, for the 3rd game in a row, the Baltimore Orioles scored in the top half of the first inning. Well, excuse me, I digress. 2 times in Toronto, and then the bottom half of the first in New York when they just absolutely touched up Severino. So, it's real interesting that all of a sudden those bats are stinking coming alive, and the Baltimore Orioles are starting to jump on people. That's real good to see. Very good to see. So bottom half of the first, Kyle Bradish goes 1, 2, 3, except for he does walk Vlad, but Blue Jays aren't able to do anything with it. Top half of the second, Urias hits a double. McKenna sacrifices to the pitcher, pushing Urias to third. Mateo grounds out to third, and then Rutschman singles to center, scoring Urias. So the Birds are actually able to put another run on the board in the top half of the second. Go to the bottom half. Jansen does homer, hits a 2-run shot. Going to the bottom half of the second, Jansen is able to hit a 405-foot homer and scores Chapman as well, making the score 3-2. Top half of the third, Orioles can't do anything. Bottom half, Belt hits a solo shot, knotting it all up at 3-3. So they're in a battle. They're definitely in a battle in the beginning part of the game, and Ryu did a pretty good job of kind of holding it down until we got to the top half of the 6th. So top half of the 6th, still 3-3. Henderson comes up, and he smokes one 335 feet that goes just over the right field wall. You know, when it came off his bat, you knew that it had the distance. The question was, would it stay fair? And it did, putting the Birds up 4-3. Just another one of his stinking home runs. I think that's back-to-back nights that he's homered in. So Henderson's going stinking hard. Jays can't do anything in the bottom half of the 6th. And the top of the 7th, Blue Jays change pitchers. They bring in Cabrera. Mateo reaches on an infield single to shortstop. That was his one single of the day. Then he steals second. Rutschman lines out to right, putting Mateo to third. And then Mountcastle doubles again, scoring Mateo, making it 5-3 Birds. Santander grounds out to third. Mountie is able to go to third. And let me tell you something. Chapman made an unstinking believable play going to the line. And, I mean, he caught that stinking ball laid out fully extended, and then he threw a rocket over to first. And how Mountie got to third, the way that ball was hit, I'll never know. But Chapman made a fantastic play, doing everything that he could for the Blue Jays. So Hayes intentionally walked, and then Henderson singles to left, scoring Mountie and Hayes, and Henderson gets the second, making it 7-3 Birds. And that's kind of when they started to pour it on. Blue Jays can't do anything in the bottom half, and then Kyle is able to finish 7 innings, which is great because, last night you had Yinyer, you had Felix, everybody pitched. It was good to have them have a night off. And then it's 7-3 Birds, top of the 8th, just in case that wasn't good enough. Pearson comes in to pitch for Toronto. Urias grounds out to shortstop. McKenna fouls out the first. Mateo walks. So you got 2 down. Mateo walks. Rutschman walks. Mountcastle walks. 3 walks in a row. Santander comes up to the plate, works the count full, and absolutely blasts a 403-foot grand salami, just opening the game wide stinking open. And I question 403 because if that was 403 feet, then that's a stinking short porch because that thing was gone. I don't know if they'll ever find it again. Absolute stinking blast. 11-3 Birds. So bottom of the 8th, Crable comes in after Cino Perez gives up a double, and then Crable gets him out of the inning. So top half of the 9th, Birds still aren't done. Merrifield's in left, Varsho's in center, Clements at second base, Henderson singles to center, Westberg singles to left, Urias grounds out to second, Westberg gets the second and Henderson the third, and then McKenna has a 2 RBI single to make it 13-3, Baltimore stinking Orioles. Man, what an offensive stinking explosion, especially at the latter half of that game. And then, like I said, it was fun to see Crable come in and handle business at the end of the game as he just came up not too long ago. So that puts the Baltimore Orioles at 66-41. I think this is the first time this season they've been 25 games above 500. So they have 25 more wins than they have losses, and they are first place in the AL East. Now, the Tampa Bay Rays, they also won. They beat the Yankees 5-2, so Baltimore remains 1.5 games up in the AL East for first place. But you can see that they are creating some separation from the Blue Jays, Red Sox, and the Yankees, as all 3 of those teams have lost 3 straight games. So, as I said earlier, the Baltimore Orioles, with today's W, have already won the season series against the Toronto Blue Jays, and once again, Birdland firmly plants its flag onto the mound of another stadium to let them know that there is a new sheriff in town. And tomorrow, we have an exciting, stinking matchup. Grayson Rodriguez is going to try to continue his success against Kikuchi, and Kikuchi's 8-3 with a 3.79 ERA and a 1.28 WHIP. He's pitched well, so it'll be very interesting. Must-see baseball to see if Grayson can continue his trend upward after being recalled from AAA Norfolk. It's a big spot. Birds are already 2-0 in this series. Let's go ahead and take it right now. And Grayson has been great lately, so it'll be interesting to see how the Birds handle business tomorrow. Once again, Gunnar Henderson, Anthony Santander, Ryan Mountcastle, these guys had huge stinking games, man. And it bodes well that the Orioles seem to be kind of turning things up a little bit. And that's obviously without Aaron Hicks That's without Cedric Mullins. That's without a couple of key guys that we have. Also, news is that the Baltimore Orioles went out and got Flaherty from the St. Louis Cardinals. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays into the rotation in the upcoming days. But hey, enjoy the stinking win, Birdland. 13-3, baby. Absolute drubbing, especially as of the latter portions of the game. Super exciting. How about them stinking O's? They can do it 1-0 with a walk-off in the ninth. They can do it 13-3. This team finds ways to win. Hey, we'll catch you on the next one, baby. How about them stinking Orioles? 7:07 tomorrow. We'll see you later, Birdland.